You're addicted to hating yourself. You may have had a traumatic experience in your life. We all have had. We all have. So let's not front. And you may tell yourself this story every day. And you know what story I'm talking about. The story where you make yourself out to be a victim. And the truth is, you may say that you've moved past it. You may say that you've processed it. But in reality, all you've done is run away from it. And now these unprocessed emotions that you run away from, the thoughts that you tell to get out of your head, the demons that you have to fight daily, yeah, they don't leave. They don't leave. And the reason they don't leave is because you allow them to stay, because you're addicted to being a victim. You're addicted to hating yourself. The story that you tell yourself where you victimize yourself each and every day is keeping you stuck in who you are. It's keeping your heart hardened so you cannot receive the blessings that you're asking for. You cannot become the man that you need to become so that way you could receive everything you're asking for. And you think to yourself, why doesn't the Most High give me what I want? It's because you can't handle it. You have a vision of yourself and you see this man, but you're addicted to hating yourself so much that you try to self-hate your way into becoming the man that you need to become. You set these high standards for yourself, these high expectations, and you're constantly putting pressure on yourself, putting pressure on yourself, putting pressure on yourself. And you'll frame it in a way where it sounds very ambitious. Oh, well, I need to do more because if I do more, then I'll get further ahead. Oh, like grind don't stop, bro. Grind don't stop. And you know what? A lot of self-hating men will go on your comment section and they'll tell you, "Oh, brother, you're doing so great, bro. You keep on running yourself to the ground, bro." Because they think that shit is hard. They think that, looking back at their shit is hard. I've never known a man to look back at his shit when he takes a shit. I personally don't. If you look back, like I don't understand. And it's the same principle applies to life, right? A lot of you guys love to be the victim. You guys love to run the victim story, and you've programmed yourself unconsciously to love being the victim. So many of you will carry these feelings of being underappreciated, being undervalued, blaming other people for not seeing who you are. But in reality is you don't even see who you are. Because since you're ambitious, since you're competent, you're always striving for more, but you're never actually moving towards more. You're never actually accepting towards more. The progress bar moves in life, but the man's spirit never catches up. The man's soul never is allowed to breathe. And you may hit a certain point using pressure, using survival mode, but at the end of it, you reach the top of the mountain and you realize you still ain't shit. You still ain't shit. Because deep down inside, the man that you need to become, you don't believe you deserve to become him. And it's a catch 22 because the victim that you make yourself out to be is the reason that you're stuck. Despite all the pressure that victim story brings, that chip on your shoulder, you're addicted to him. You're addicted to the pressure. You're addicted to the chip on your shoulder. Some of you might actually stay awake at night feeling restless, asking yourself, why the fuck do I feel this way? Why do these thoughts never leave me? And like I told a brother of mine, you allow these demons to come into your mind and influence you because you're allowing the portals of your mind, of your emotions to stay open to them, to feed off of your negativity. Because you know what demons are attracted to? Light. Because light has life. And if you give it life, it will have life. And those wounds are portals for them to enter into your mind and manipulate you. But instead of running, towards your emotions and dealing why you have these certain type of thoughts, and you know what fucking thoughts I'm talking about. I don't even gotta go into your mind. You run away from them. You avoid them. And you ask yourself, why is the Most High allowing me to feel this way? Because you need to be able to handle who you need to become so you can get blessed with what you want. And until you do that, Then you'll get everything you want out of life. But the victim story, a lot of men love to victimize themselves because of the drive it produces, the self hate it produces. It feels very powerful, it feels freeing, but it's a false form of freedom. You see, like for a long time, like I used to make my identity collapse, my victim story. I used to see myself as a victim of rejection, being misunderstood, being feeling not good enough, being not good enough, you know, people looking down on me, people undermining me. And my response would have been back then was, I don't give a fuck people, fuck them. And now I realize how delirious that was of me, how much of a detriment it was to me. And I realized how fucked up in the head I was. And I could say the same for a lot of these ambitious men that I see out here. A lot of them are fucked up in the head. A lot of you guys are fucked up in the head and you guys don't realize it. And I've come from that place, so I know how restless that victim story that you tell yourself, you know, is. And I used to ask myself, like, why do I have all these thoughts and feelings of unworthiness, feelings of imposter syndrome? Why don't I ever feel enough? And it's because you allow the victim story in your head to run you. You never actually look at your accomplishments because the victim story needs to reaffirm to himself that he is a victim. And when you stay stuck in this mode, you can never progress forward in life. You can never reach the greatest gift of every man, which is peace and truth. Some men will die never realizing this, that the amount of pressure that they place on themselves is not fucking normal. It is not normal. There's a time and place for survival mode, for pressure, but that exact tension that you think you need is exactly what's keeping you back. And you know what's even worse than that? That restlessness, that tension, that pressure from the victim story that you tell yourself. The story where you tell yourself the world hates me and other dudes just want to see me fail. And bro, nobody give a fuck about you. Nobody give a fuck about me. Let's be for real. In the world. Now, in our personal lives, we do have people that care. Let's acknowledge that. The scripture I brought out the other day, now that I remember it, Proverbs 21:5. The thoughts of the diligent lead only to plenteousness, but the hasty only to want. The victim inside of us has programmed us. Really, we've allowed ourselves to be programmed to only look at what we lack versus what we have and being content with that. You see? And the victim is always going to look to reaffirm his story because his story has become who he is. And your subconscious, if you never actually process trauma, will suppress trauma because it knows that your body cannot handle it, that you will literally die. And I always say on this channel, the mind was never made to thrive, it was made to survive. And letting go of who you currently are will always feel like death because you're letting and stripping a part of you that needs to go. And your mind cannot perceive that because your mind's job was made to survive. It was made for certainty. And that state of being of the pressure, the performance, it's so powerful. But I use the analogy of Spider-Man 3. Eddie Brock's character, he wants Venom because he feels free when he's actually Venom. He feels powerful. And most men confuse power for freedom. You could be powerful on the surface and still feel the most encaged you've ever been. But most men that truly don't give a fuck, that are nonchalant, do not have any attachment to any stories in their head besides the man that they are today, that they choose to be today. We have the ability to define who we are, but it is a daily choice. You know, I've never asked anybody, am I a winner? I've always assumed I'm a winner. And it's because each and every day, I win the day. Each and every day, I win the moment. I don't need pressure to reaffirm that to me. And for a long time, I did. But now, at the place I'm at, I don't need my victim story to reaffirm to me who I am. I need to reaffirm who I am to myself, and I do that daily. And I need to focus on who I actually am being and focus on what I actually have, because that will put me in a state of gratitude. And when you're in a state of gratitude, the weight of life becomes so much lighter. Life is very simple if we allow it to be. Our heart, we could carry it very lightly if we allow ourselves to. But many of you are addicted to venom because pressure builds you, pressure thrives, but you never know how it actually feels to not be at unease, at ease. You never know how it actually is to feel at rest. And that pressure, that tension will kill you faster than anything else. And if you're like me and you didn't have a large capacity, you will collapse. You will collapse. And when you lose who you are, your victim story will become even worse. And you'll realize, or maybe you'll never realize, that you've been stuck in the same cycle your entire life because you never actually looked past part of you that didn't realize that he makes himself out to be a victim. And when you finally do move past it, you will actually be free. And it doesn't matter what conditions you're in. You will no longer be chasing things in this world just for the satisfaction that hit like a drug addict to make you feel better. You'll actually genuinely move towards full integration.